Okay, good morning. Is it Detective Sabo?
That's correct, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Are you going to be testifying as to the probable cause on this?
I am, through information and belief, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And you are the officer who signed the complaint? Thank you. Please raise your right hand, swear affirm that everything you're going to tell me is true to the best of your information and belief.
I do.
Thank you. I've got People versus Donald Eric Corbett. Is that you, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, that's me.
All right, thank you. Good morning. All right, I've got one count of assault and resisting obstructing police officer. Detective, please go ahead with your testimony. You've been sworn.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. On February 9th, 2024, at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning, Donald Corbett appeared unwanted at Lisa Labity's house, located at 30 in the city of Wyandotte, county of Wayne, in the state of Michigan. After sending texts to her advising that he was en route to kill her and her mother. Upon Corbett's arrival, officers were called and they observed Corbett in the backyard holding a landscaping block, which appeared to be ready to throw through the house window at the residence. But instead, he fled on foot when the officers commanded and ordered Corbett to get on the ground. Corbett disregarded officers Harris, Ethicus, Ames, and Sloan and jumped the privacy fence in the backyard into the city alley, breaking a fence plank. Officers pursued Corbett on foot, yelling and ordering for Corbett to stop, to no avail. Officer Ethicus heard a noise that appeared to be coming from the garage on an adjacent block, so all officers investigated. The door of the garage was ajar, and officers made entry, discovering Corbett still attempting to evade before he was taken into custody. The next block. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. What happened during the arrest?
During the arrest, there was no additional actual assault on a police officer. The resist or obstruct was the non-compliance and running from the police.
What is this I'm reading about all this spitting on officers and
That he had attempted to, which was part of the one of assault, resist, or obstruct.
I was puking.
okay.
Corbett says that he was intoxicated, doesn't remember the event, and that he was vomiting.
Okay.
He did in fact do that in the back of a patrol car, which rendered it out of service so it could be cleaned up by a biohazard company.
Okay, I can see that they also reference dry heaving and moaning, so that makes sense. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I do find probable cause support the charge. We will move on to the arraignment portion. People versus Donald Corbett. Sir, just state your name, please.
Donald Corbett, Your Honor.
Thank you, Donald Corbett. All right, counsel.
Your Honor, waiting on behalf of Mr. Corbett, waive the reading. He's been advised of his rights.
Thank you, counsel. The court notes formal reading has been waived and enters a not guilty plea on Mr. Corbett's behalf. Your argument as to bond, please.
So my client's 34. He's a caregiver for his mom, and on Friday, his mom had a doctor's appointment. He was just given some very bad news about his mother Friday. It sent him, I think, into like a whirlwind or a spiral, judge, at that time. You know, there was some drinking involved based on the he got about his mother's health. He hasn't spoken with his mother since that time. He's very worried, concerned, and taking his toll. I think that's isolated on what he told me and what we talked about. Obviously, the case was going to matriculate. Who's going to deal with it? But today, I think personal bond would suffice. He doesn't want to have contact with police. He should also have no contact or have any contact with alcohol. I think that's important too, because I think that alcohol is what kind of fueled all of this behavior. So if he does not drink, he needs to get home and take care of his mother. I'm asking respectfully for a personal bond, Judge.
I mean, I can certainly see bad news about your mom making you want to drown your sorrows, how that translates into telling somebody you're going to kill them. And
there might be some mental issues as well, Judge. I think that it may have to be addressed. He has a therapist, I think, that he's supposed to go see as well. So there's a combination of things, Your Honor.
It was more of I wanted to kill myself, Your Honor. I've said it multiple times since I've been here. Right now, with everything going on in my life, my mom's telling me
your mother. I think that's the most important thing.
If I may add, Your Honor.
yes.
So Mr. Corbett is also has a fourth offense habitual notice by the prosecutor's office of 3 or 4 more felony convictions. In addition to that, he has an active felony warrant out of Glenwood for breaking and entering. And if you were to ask me, I would say statutorily the cash bond, as cited in count 1 at $2,000 cash, I believe would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, priors that are purely weapons possession don't normally alarm me, as I'm feeling alarmed right now, because he is at a HAB 4. The 3 priors are weapons, only one of them CCW. The others miscellaneous, so it could be brass knuckles or mace or whatever.
they were all brass knuckles.
Okay, thank you. Are you aware, officer, of any other incidents between these parties?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 3 previous reports, and Lisa Labadie has yet to follow through. Just like in this case, I think we would have probably also achieved a threats or intimidation or stalking. But again, since the 9th, she's never called me back. But I do think it's incumbent that he has no contact with Lisa Corbett. Lisa Labadie, and or return to that home. And no alcohol and drugs not prescribed.
May I say one thing, Your Honor?
I'll let your attorney advise you, and then it's your hearing and it's your right to do so.
Is it relating to the case? Because anything you say, Mr. Corbett, they can hold it against you. I mean, I don't want you to say something. It's going to be
I packed all my things from her house. They are all in my car. I have no reason to even have contact with her anymore.
So you've had 3 prior interactions with Mr. Corbett regarding this particular complainant.
That's correct, Your Honor. All dealing with the same address, the same victim, Lisa Labadie, and always calling the police after the fact, and he's already fled on foot in those 3 previous incidents. But what prompted her to call sooner this time, in this incident, is because of the text messages that he had sent saying that he was going to come over and harm her and her mom. So she called ahead of time.
I'll tell you, I mean, I'm torn about this because, I think I could put an alcohol tether on him. I think I could give him full home confinement on a GPS tether. My fear is if someone is at the point of wanting to harm themselves and feels like they have nothing to lose, is that enough? Is that sufficient? Do they care if they violate they're tethered? Do they care if they violate the court's order?
Ma'am, I swear to God, please, I'll beg for an alcohol tether and a GPS tether. I just want to be home with my mother to make sure she's okay. That's it. Her husband's there, but he works all day. He can't take care of her. She's in and out the hospital right now. I haven't got to talk to her about her. She had a specialist doctor on Friday to see what cancer she had. I don't know the exact terms that she used, but that's what kind of made me start drinking. And I know I'm an alcoholic. I know I have a problem drinking. I don't want it. It's just something like that made me
Hold on,
feel
Mr.
like,
Corbett, let the magistrate think about what she wants to do. Hold on one second.
okay, I'm sorry.
Do you have any prior convictions of an assaultive nature? Are you aware? I don't know, because if they're misdemeanors, I won't see them.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm pulling out the criminal history right now. Felony larceny in a building. Back in 2003, Monroe County Sheriff. No, that was dismissed. Other larceny from a building, pled guilty. Also, well, that was in Wyandotte 2007. Pled guilty to dangerous weapons. The city of Wyandotte also back in 2007. Motor vehicle tampering, well, that was dismissed. And malicious destruction of property, pled guilty. That was also a Monroe County Sheriff's case back in 2008. Window peeping, no, that one was dismissed. Synthetic drugs, controlled substance, pled guilty back in 2008, Monroe County Sheriff. Assault and battery, pled guilty, Monroe County Sheriff, 12/28 of 2008. Nola contendere on another controlled substance case in 2012, Monroe County. Pled guilty to RNC, 2010, Monroe County.
What's the number?
Pled guilty to weapons offense, Monroe in 2010. Pled guilty to domestic violence in 2012 in Monroe County. Another domestic pled guilty 2012 Monroe County, and also pled guilty of assault and resist and obstruct the police officer, Monroe County. Pled guilty to assault and battery 2015 in Ecorse Police, Ecorse, Michigan. Pled guilty to weapons offense in Ecorse back in 2015. Guilty to OWI back in 2022 in Monroe. Violence, stalking, intimidation. Third offense, Nola contendere, felony assault, 2022 in Monroe. Pled guilty. Felony dangerous weapon, Nola contendere.
I've never had a stalking charge. Never had.
Okay, let's go back to the
2020.
stalking charge. Let's go back to the stalking charge since he's challenging that, because that's important to me. Can you please go back to that one? Give me whatever
Yes.
information you have about that.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me go back. Or 1 of 2022, Monroe Police Department, felony assault, excluding sexual, pled nolo contendere for felony domestic and or knowingly assaulting a pregnant individual, third offense notice. That was what it says.
Okay, yeah, so it's a felony DV because he's got the 2 prior DVs. Okay. All right, go on, please.
2023, A and B pled guilty, 87 days in jail, back on 7/31/2023, Monroe City or Monroe County Sheriff's Department. Misdemeanor breaking and entering, illegal entry, pled guilty, same case.
I
And
mean,
then the
so
rest
now I've
don't
got a
have-
2023 case where he's convicted of breaking into someone's house and assaulting them. And I've got a case in front of me where he's threatening to break into somebody's house and kill them.
No, actually, ma'am, I'm sorry if you think, if you could get the report for the hotel incident, there's a young woman that was getting beat on about 5 guys. And they charged me with breaking and entering because the door was open and when they was beating her, I was right there. And I never entered except for when I started punching people from outside. And the people that worked at the hotel are my witnesses. When the officer to the young lady, or the father to the young lady got there, he shook my hand and told me, thank you for helping his daughter. His daughter.
But he didn't show up for court and say, this guy's not guilty of this. He saved my daughter's life.
When I went to court, I was going to fight everything. The attorney that got in front of me said he's basically giving me time served and let me go. So it was the best. I felt like it was the best option for me at the time, but I did not. If you can just look into that case, look, I have a bad history. I know I have a bad history. I'm trying to make my life better. I am sorry. I have like the worst luck in the world. I'm going through so much.
You gotta
I'm
focus
sorry.
on your mom right now. You gotta focus on your mom right now. That's the most important thing. Your mother's the most important thing right now. You gotta focus on her.
An additional note, yesterday, late afternoon, when I had an opportunity to have Mr. Corbett sign his court-appointed paperwork, weekend arraignment paperwork, I let him call and talk to his grandmother. And he gave grandma instructions to give his property to his mom in case he can post bond. She can have access to his bank card and funds to get him out.
I don't believe my taxes came yet. Taxes
All right,
didn't come.
okay.
But
Listen, I have sympathy for you, Mr. Corbett, but at some point this stuff catches up with you. I have you convicted in 2023, and I hear your explanation of breaking into someplace and then assaulting someone in there. And now I have you standing here before me today, less than a year later, and someone is saying he threatened to come into my house and assault me, not only assault me, but kill me. And it's clear to me that you're struggling. I'm looking at this investigator's report. It's clear to me that you're struggling. Your record tells me you've been struggling for a long time. And I do have sympathy for that. But my first job is to make sure that she's safe, that the officers are safe.
And Judge, with all due respect, the one thing we need to also do is look at, you want people to be safe, but people also have to follow through. We're talking about 3 prior situations or complaints, follow through with it. That tells me something. Now, I don't know the young lady. I don't know her situation, so I don't want to really speak on it.
Yeah, I mean, we never know what it tells us, right? It could tell us that she doesn't care, or it could tell us she's afraid he's going to kill her if she shows up for court.
Don't know.
It could be either one.
But the fact is, it doesn't happen, right? It did not follow through, not 1 time, not 2 times, but 3 times. So, at some point, Judge, that should tell us a little something.
Okay. Breathe. Just breathe. Breathe in your nose and exit out your mouth. Relax. Relax.
I don't want to be around that girl. That's why I packed my things and left. She beats at me. I could show you on my phone how many times she stabbed me and how many times she swallowed thousands of pills. It makes me feel bad for her because she.
All right,
Out of concern for the safety of the complainant, and quite frankly, out of some concern for flight, but out of concern for safety for the complainant.
Officer,
And I'm sorry.
police
I'm
officer.
sorry. Right. Well, no, out of concern for the safety of Ms. Labadie. Let me start there. And because I understand your point, counsel, that he's charged with the assaulting, resisting, obstructing. And I will tell you, because I know you don't always have the benefit of the investigator's report out county, the description of the interaction with officers is quite long. So after the initial arrest, after getting back to the station, and I do take Mr. Corbett at his word that he was sick, but I mean, there's a lot going on here in terms of interaction. With the police, officers trying to put a spit mask on him to stop him from spitting on them, and then him immediately ripping it off and continuing to spit. The next thing is and wrapping underwear, removed his underwear and began choking himself with his own underwear. They'd had to stop him from doing that. So bond is set at $2,000 cash. Before he leaves the jail, he must be fitted with an alcohol tether. There is to be no drinking during the course of this bond. If you take a drink, you will be in violation of the conditions of your bond, and that tether will pick it up, and you will find yourself back in the jail. You're also going to be on full home confinement. So you also have a GPS tether that requires full home confinement. There is to be no contact with this complainant, as a condition of this bond, I am imposing a no contact order with Ms. Labadie. There is to be no verbal contact, no written contact, no contact through third parties or social media. Any attempt at contact with her will be considered a violation of the conditions of your bond.
Yes, ma'am. Is the bond?
Next court date, your bond is $2,000 cash. It is a cash bond.
So not 10%?
It is $2,000 cash, not 10%. I considered imposing a bond of $20,000, 10%, but we'll just make it a $2,000 cash bond.
All right, thank you.
Probable cause conference, February the 22nd at 9 a.m. Preliminary examination, February the 29th at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
All right. And I do feel for you and wish you the best dealing with your mom. Sounds like you're getting ready to go through an even harder time. Get a hold on this.
Trying, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
All right.
Your Honor, can I add one more thing if it's possible?
Yeah.
In addition to Lisa Labadie, she lives with her mother, and Lisa has children. Can we add Nancy Labadie? Because he made threats to kill Lisa and her mother, Nancy Labadie.
Yes.
At that.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Okay.